What's up, guys? It's Mark Parson, cornerback pro, former NFL cornerback of the Houston Texans and the New Orleans Saints. And today I want to talk about 3 tips to help you in coaching. So, this is from a player perspective and from my experiences being around some of the best coaches in the NFL and college ball, and then the experiences of others. So, I want to talk about that, and whoever's listening, hopefully, because these tips are a little bit unconventional. So, you probably won't have a coach, even if you have a mentor, necessarily have these steps. But hopefully, if you're listening, you're a coach out there, brand new coach, or a coach who's been in the game for 30 years, this can help you because it has helped a lot of other coaches and I see it. I'm able just to kind of like package it and give you the tips. All right. And players, hey, you may not be a guy who may go to the pros and get paid for playing football, but here's the beautiful thing: you could possibly get paid for coaching it, right? So you can still have a career in the game you love. Matter of fact, my roommate Irvin Jackson, he's actually a coach at I think it's West Alabama. He's a DB coach, matter of fact, and he was my roommate at Ohio University. And Irv had a whole bunch of injuries. I'm talking about he had to have like 4 or 5 surgeries in like 2 years. He was only there for like 2 to 3 years because he was a JUCO guy out of Mississippi, played safety. So around his last year, he was like, you know what, I'm probably not gonna go pro, right? So he says, I still love the game of football. I want to be involved. So he started just getting his mindset ready, making sure he was taking notes from Coach Solis and Jimmy Burrow, the DC there, and just increasing his network, and now he's a coach. He's a college coach, man. So there are many ways to achieve your goals and dreams. All right. So the 3 tips that I want to talk about, like I said, are unconventional, but please pay attention. I think this will help you. First thing that I would do is to study psychology. So psychology, what do you mean? So a lot of people may think that like football is like a macho or masculine or brute strength, like the guys who's bigger, faster, and stronger are gonna win. That is very important, obviously, right? Being bigger, faster, stronger, and having just physical prowess on the field, right? So that's part of it. But what comes first? What actually leads up to that? It's inside. It's mental. It's the mind. And I didn't really understand this back then. I'm 32 years old now. I didn't really understand how powerful studying psychology was. Um, I started really studying the mind. Well, let's go back. When I was in college, when I was about to go to college, my brother, who's a business guy, and that's the cool thing. You could take this if you do this type of stuff. You can take this wherever you go. He's a business guy. He said, "Hey, Mark, when you get to college, make sure you major in psychology." I was like, "Whatever, okay, cool." So I studied. I was majoring in psychology my first year, and I was like, "Bro, this is way too much. This is too much work, man. Too much mental effort, man. I'm gonna major in something else." And I was what you call mentally lazy, right? Uh, Hindsight is 2020 usually, so I'm able to see, dag, man, that was an opportunity for me to really get smarter faster, right? But learning how people think, man. Why do humans do what they do? I was in my other video, I was talking about pain and pleasure. So what does that mean? There's certain things that you can learn, and you're in school anyway, so you might as well learn it because it's going to help you in your later life. So the reason why he wanted me to do that is to learn how to deal with people. See, we're as human beings, we are social animals, man. So a lot of times, if you want to get to where you want to get, you're gonna have to be really good at dealing with other people. So why do people do the things they do? Study this, study the mind. What gets people to take action? So it's gonna help you not only with your players, because that's obvious, you got to get the most out of these guys, but even with your coworkers, the coaches. I have a friend who is probably one of the smartest, most highest football IQ you can imagine. One of the smartest guys. I'm talking about a critical thinker, very sharp, but he doesn't really get along with guys. You know, he, he comes off as arrogant, and he's really not that way, but that's how he comes off. He doesn't really know how to deal with other guys, so he's not able to get in that network, and the coaches end up not liking him, and he's not able to really go where his intelligence really he should be from an intelligence perspective because he's not socially good. So studying psychology and studying the mind will really help you with many things. And that's like sales training. Sales training helps you be able to get what you need out of people, good or bad. It's up to whoever you're learning from. But all this stuff, man, I'm telling you, it's going to really help you. Why do people do what they do? My one of my best coaches, I always talk about him, is Greg Williams. So Greg Williams was the DC for 2009 Super Bowl winning New Orleans Saints. Yeah, I would say that maybe that was his prime, right? Because and I say that because last year he didn't have a great year. He was with the Browns, but um, he told us. Now I don't know how true it is, but he told us that he majored in psychology in college, and I'm telling you, this guy had us. We're grown men, had us ready to run through a brick wall for him. It got to the point where I was like, man, it's just how he moved back and forth. He always started the day off with a quote, and then he would have some different quotes than the same quote all the time, and then he would break you down, build you back up, and at the end of the day, it was like the whole week long process of how he did it mentally. And at the very end, he's like, "Look, man," and I tell this story, man. I felt chills in my body when he was saying this. He said, "They won't understand what you're going through." He was relating to us because a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to play professional football and the pressure and stress and all that stuff. He said, "They won't outside of this room. They won't understand what you guys go through." He said, "And guess what? They couldn't do it. You guys are gladiators." That's how he talk. He's like, "You're a warrior." So we like, "Oh shoot," like, "Yo, yeah," So that and that's how the defense played, man. The defense played like a pack of wolves, and it started from him. We took on the personality of the coach, and he knew what he was doing. It wasn't just rah rah talk. I mean, this guy, it was strategy of how he did things mentally with us. It was almost like he was manipulating us, right? In a good way, in a positive way, for our own sake and our own good. So he studied psychology in college. He majored in it. So study the mind, the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind, and the conscious mind. Joseph Murphy is a good book if you want to look that up. Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I think that will change your life. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, history. So it's two different things when it comes to history. I've always been a history buff. I love history. The thing about history, one of the things about history, if you want to see the future, you can kind of look at the past. So what does that mean, Mark? Coach Mark, what do you mean you gonna focus on the past? Now here's the thing: we move in cycles. There's everything in the whole universe has a cycle. Solar system has a cycle. Earth has a cycle. Different ecosystems have cycles. Your body has a cycle. There's a day, month, year. You understand? So the seasons is something you can think about to make it simple. Obviously, you got what winter, fall, spring, summer. So if I've been living for 2 years, I can make an educated guess to be like, you know what? It's spring right now. It's probably going to go into that summer season next. So I'm making an educated guess because of my experience of the different cycles. That's number one. I just want to bring that up. Now, history is really cool. One of my favorite books is 48 Laws of Power. And one of the reasons is because he goes back in history and gives examples like the Chinese dynasty and then like some countries in Europe. And learning history is almost like you're going to be focused on different countries rise to power, different leaders rise to power, and how can this leader get a whole nation to back him, to believe in, to go for what he said is powerful, right? So when you're watching history, you can see these things. You're talking about wars and battles. That's why one of my favorite movies is Troy. How can you get the most out of guys? Like if you watch the movie Troy or you read the book The Odyssey, I want you to look up Odysseus. So that's one of the reasons why I like football more than ever now than I did when I was a kid, because strategy, being strategic, mentally being sharp. Like a lot of people don't realize Belichick didn't play at the highest level physically, but the dude's a high level thinker. He's elite, you know? So he's able to relate to this, step out of his shoes and kind of use his imagination and relate to players at this level, even though he's never even guarded a guy in one-on-ones. I mean, that's a high level thinker. So which brings me to my next point when it comes to history. Yo, the books. So one of the best things you can do for yourself, go on Amazon. You have the history and the journey of guys like Belichick, of guys like I don't know if Sean Payton, but who else? Dennis Green. Read those books. Get their insight on this sport and this game and their journey and what they had to battle, because you can avoid some of those mistakes, right? So that's history. That's in the past, but you can use it. So study history of countries, modern history, ancient history, and see how these guys rose to power and what they had to do to convince the people to back them. Because really, we're nothing without the people, right? Um, and then lastly, I would say communication, which actually that takes me like history and studying how you can convince people to move and take action. Communication. I would take courses in how to effectively use the English language. That's going to be key. And then a big part of our communication is actually like body language, tonality of our words, putting an emphasis on certain things. But like I said, body language and gestures with our hands, that can really help you a lot. Now you look at a guy like Belichick, yeah, okay, he doesn't really show much. Now, out in public at least, I don't know what he does in because I never played for Belichick. I just had some friends that play, but still, man, that passion, man, you can really, like I said with Greg Williams, we were ready to run through a brick wall for him. And me, my dad was a pastor, right? So he was a preacher. So I learned, oh, this is how, and he was very like an emotional and very vivid guy, and people will follow you, man. I'm telling you, if they feel like you really care, you're passionate, and that you're putting your all into it and you're serious about it, if they can feel it, they can see it through your emotions, you expressing yourself, the ability to express and how you feel and what you desire, I think is key. And I think a lot of coaches understand that. I'm not just talking rah-rah type of thing, but just showing passion and being able to explain that stuff. I remember Coach David Gibbs was really cool when I was with the Texans because he made us stand up there sometimes to give. Hey, actually, he was with the Saints too. We were the rookies, right? So he would make us have to give some of the game plan for the DBs, and sometimes in front of the defensive coordinator. So you're forced to have to be able to speak well, right? And you got to know the game plan. So obviously, schemes, you need to have an incredible football IQ, and that comes with time and that comes with intense study. But to be able to express it and be confident, and everybody know that you're confident in what you're saying, that will speak volumes to them. So those three things I think are very important. I think they're simple, like study psychology, study the mind. One book like I was talking about was Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. You can find the audio on YouTube. That can change your life. That will change your life. But study the mind. It's a powerful thing, and what they call is like uncharted territory. A lot of people don't really, they just focus on the outside instead of the inside, when the outside actually comes from the inside and what you're thinking. Number two, study history, man. I just watched this, and I just said it in the last video, the show called Marco Polo on Netflix. Man, I really liked it. It was 2 seasons, and you just watching, I'm watching how the king moves, and how you have to be a high level thinker and strategic, and you know as a thinker, you're not going to be able to be drinking and drunk because you're not going to be focused, you know, and how that can hurt you and who you're supposed to trust, but you can't. It's so much. And then from a history standpoint of the game, being a student of the game, dude, they got all the books out there for you, ready for you with the information from some of the best people in this game, right? The history of the game, the history of football, knowing it, the ins and outs of it. And then last, that brings you into communication. When there's a breakdown in communication, it's really bad on many levels. In any relationship, when there's a breakdown in communication, you're screwed. So being able to communicate and get your point across in a way where they can accept it, because an offended person, if a person's truly offended, sometimes they're not going to even listen to what you got to say. But sometimes making an offense is part of what you need to do. So yeah, man. So I just want to give you those 3 tips. Hopefully you guys, that will help a lot of guys out there, especially those books, man. Those books will change your life. All right. So if you have any questions about anything, email me at cornerbackpro@gmail.com. I do have the training programs if you need them. Just ask me for them, and then let's get better, man, every single day. It's a mindset, mentality.